The state that I'm going to talk about is Nebraska, and Nebraska, along with all the other plain states, faced not only economic difficulties but also natural disaster difficulties. And the first thing they were facing, as you can see here, were massive dust storms caused by overfarming and overgrazing, which took all the grasses out of the soil, which caused the topsoil to be loose, and then the high winds, which we know are part of living in Nebraska, would blow that dust all around and creating these massive dust storms. So it was very difficult, really impossible to farm in the plain states, and it also made it difficult for livestock to live since there was very little grass for them to eat, and it just made it difficult to live in general with the dust being blown around. Because of this dust bowl, during the 1930s, a quarter of all people left the dust bowl in states like Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. And most of those people went to California looking for migrant work where they could pick crops such as peas, grapes, oranges, crops that were very labor intensive where they needed a lot of hands to pick those things. But if a quarter of people are leaving the Dust Bowl region and moving to California, obviously those jobs are going to be very scarce and few and far between. On the map on the left here, you can see the Dust Bowl states, again, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. Even in South Dakota, you can see Nebraska is almost all yellow, which would be areas damaged by dust storms. We were not in the most severe portion, but certainly felt the effects. And on the map on the right, you can see the red arrows indicate all the farmers leaving these areas, going to places, mainly California, also places such as Washington, to pick, again, labor-intensive crops. Okay, here we meet Marjorie Simpson. She is from central Nebraska, in a rural area. She's a farmer, and her farm has not been successful for many years now. They're suffering from the effects of drought. They haven't had a good crop for 4 years. Most of their livestock is dead. So now they're faced with the decision. They can either go on relief, which they didn't really want to do. They were kind of too proud to go on relief, but it might come to that where they could get some government money and government help, or they could join a lot of the other families, farm families on the road, and they could head to California. They could pack up and do that. Obviously, they know the risk of going to California is that a lot of people they might not have any opportunities, and they're also going to have to live in very poor conditions. They'll be leaving their home and replacing it for a makeshift tent in some type of migrant workers camp such as this one. So things were difficult for this family during the Great Depression.